On July 22, 2025, the world lost one of its most iconic and enigmatic figures in the history of rock music, Ozzy Osbourne, the legendary frontman of Black Sabbath. Known as the Prince of Darkness, Ozzy's influence extended far beyond his music, touching millions through his raw honesty, unfiltered persona, and relentless resilience. As fans around the world mourned his passing at the age of 76, questions began to circulate regarding the true cause of his death. Despite a well-documented history of health issues, an autopsy was performed, an unusual step that sparked speculation and concern. What followed was a shocking revelation that not only deepened public understanding of Ozzy's physical decline, but also brought to light previously unknown truths about his lifelong struggles, both physical and psychological. The findings in Ozzy Osbourne's autopsy not only redefined how the public perceived his death, but also added another complex, emotional chapter to the story of a man who had lived a life on the edge. Chapter 1. Why an autopsy was necessary. The decision to conduct an autopsy on Ozzy Osbourne's body came as a surprise to many. For years, Ozzy's health challenges had been visible and widely acknowledged. He had battled Parkinson's disease, endured multiple spinal injuries, and had a long documented history of substance abuse. Given this context, many believed the cause of death would be self-evident. Yet both his family and legal authorities deemed a deeper investigation essential. There were compelling reasons. Over the years, Ozzy's medical files had grown increasingly complex. Diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2019, he had suffered a debilitating fall in 2020 that aggravated older injuries from his past stage accidents and vehicular mishaps. Additionally, his past indulgence in drugs and alcohol raised concerns about the long-term effects of substance abuse on his organs. With this multifaceted history, physicians and forensic experts agreed. An autopsy was not just prudent, it was necessary. The autopsy wasn't just about identifying a direct cause of death. It aimed to provide a full picture of Ozzy's deteriorating health and to rule out any external or previously unknown internal causes that could have contributed to his demise. The findings, as it turned out, would provide profound insight into the cost of living a life so extreme, both on and off the stage. Chapter 2. A lifetime of damage. Despite his abstinence in later years, the autopsy revealed extensive organ damage that dated back decades. Forensic specialists meticulously examined his liver, kidneys, heart, lungs, and brain, each showing signs of advanced degeneration. The liver bore the most telling scars, cirrhosis-like textures and chemical wear that pointed to years of hard living. The kidneys were also in a weakened state, reflecting the toll of painkillers and various medications prescribed over decades. Ozzy's heart showed signs of chronic cardiovascular disease. The autopsy report described an enlarged heart with signs of arrhythmic activity and weakened walls, consistent with years of fluctuating blood pressure and stress. These signs were not new to those close to him, but their extent shocked even seasoned forensic experts. Most distressing was the condition of his brain. Although Parkinson's is a neurodegenerative disease, brain tissue samples showed damage beyond what is typical, hinting at the long-term effects of substance abuse, multiple concussions, and possibly unrecognized mini-strokes. These findings raised further questions about how many of Ozzy's erratic behaviors in life were symptoms of untreated neurological issues. Chapter 3. Substance Abuse and Its Ghosts. Ozzy's struggle with drugs and alcohol has been central to his public persona. From snorting ants on tour to biting the head off a bat during a performance, his antics have become rock legend. However, behind these stories were decades of substance abuse that etched irreversible marks on his body. Although Ozzy had been sober for several years before his death, the autopsy showed that the legacy of his addiction endured. His liver showed signs of past alcohol-induced hepatitis, while his kidneys displayed chronic interstitial nephritis, a condition often linked to long-term painkiller use. These damages weren't just medical footnotes. They were central to the final deterioration of his body. Even more telling was the interaction between these organ damages and his Parkinson's medications. Drugs like levodopa, while effective for symptom management, can strain the liver and kidneys when administered over long periods. The autopsy suggested a compounding effect. The medications that sustained Ozzy in his later years may have simultaneously accelerated his physical decline. Chapter 4. Injuries that never healed. Throughout his career, Ozzy suffered numerous physical traumas. From falling off ATVs to tumbling off stage rigs, his body was repeatedly battered. In 2003, he nearly died in a quad bike accident, suffering a broken collarbone, 8 fractured ribs, and a damaged vertebra. A 2019 fall reactivated old spinal injuries, resulting in multiple surgeries that left him in chronic pain. The autopsy revealed extensive damage to the spinal cord and surrounding tissue. There were signs of failed healing, nerve impingement, and even microhemorrhages likely resulting from years of pain and inflammation. The cascading effect of these injuries was significant. Impaired mobility, reduced physical resilience, and increased reliance on medication. Doctors also discovered that these injuries indirectly contributed to other organ issues. Limited mobility led to reduced cardiovascular efficiency and slower metabolic function, which in turn made it harder for his organs to repair themselves or process medications. The body of Ozzy Osbourne was not just worn, it was locked in a loop of slow, systemic breakdown. Chapter 5. A Mind Under Siege. Mental health had always been a theme in Ozzy's life, from lyrics filled with existential dread to his public admissions of depression and anxiety. The autopsy could not measure mental anguish, but it did point to neurological issues beyond Parkinson's. Brain tissue samples revealed signs of chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, a condition linked to repeated head trauma, commonly found in athletes and combat veterans. CTE is associated with symptoms such as memory loss, confusion, impaired judgment, and progressive dementia, all of which Ozzy had reportedly experienced. While not officially diagnosed during his lifetime, the evidence posthumously confirmed that Ozzy was likely battling more than just Parkinson's in his final years. These revelations helped contextualize some of the behavioral shifts that puzzled even his closest family members. It also painted a sobering picture of a man who had lived not just a hard life, but a physically and psychologically demanding one that came with hidden costs. Chapter 6. The Role of Sharon and Family. At the heart of Ozzy's later years was his wife, Sharon Osbourne, a figure as complex and formidable as Ozzy himself. More than just his partner, Sharon was his manager, confidant, nurse, and emotional anchor. During his darkest moments, including suicidal ideation and the immense pain of Parkinson's progression, Sharon stood by his side. According to family accounts and medical staff, Sharon was instrumental in pushing for the autopsy, not out of suspicion, but from a desire for closure. She wanted to understand what her husband had truly endured. Her dedication was mirrored by their children, Jack and Kelly, who frequently traveled and adjusted their schedules to spend time with their father during his final months. This family unity was not only touching but essential. Doctors credited Sharon and the children with helping Ozzy find peace during his final days. Conversations late at night, long walks in the garden, and shared silences helped Ozzy come to terms with the inevitable. Chapter 7. Final Reflections and Peace. In his final weeks, Ozzy reportedly made the decision to stop aggressive treatments. According to his physician, this wasn't a surrender but a dignified acceptance. Ozzy had reached a point where additional treatment would only prolong suffering without meaningful improvement. He spent his last days at home, surrounded by family, pets, and the music he loved. Conversations with Sharon became increasingly spiritual. Ozzy spoke openly about his regrets, especially the years lost to addiction, and his gratitude for the love he had received. His final message, shared through his doctor and family, was simple yet profound. Don't live in regret. Forgive yourself and others. Live a life that truly matters. It was a powerful closing statement from a man who had lived every chapter of his life at full volume. Chapter 8. The Legacy That Endures. Ozzy Osbourne's death marked the end of a seismic era in rock history, but his legacy lives on. As the founder of Black Sabbath and a solo artist, he created music that redefined genres. Albums like Paranoid, Blizzard of Oz, and Diary of a Madman are timeless masterpieces that continue to influence generations of musicians. Yet his legacy goes beyond music. Ozzy became a symbol of resilience, transformation, and the ability to rise from self-destruction. He battled addiction and illness, faced public scrutiny, and still managed to find love, redemption, and peace. The autopsy revealed the toll this journey took on his body, but it also highlighted the strength it took to keep going, to keep performing, and to keep connecting with fans despite the pain. Ozzy's life teaches us that while we may not be able to escape our pasts, we can still shape our futures and inspire others in the process. Conclusion: a message beyond the grave. In death, as in life, Ozzy Osbourne left behind more than just music. He left a message. His autopsy didn't merely reveal a medical conclusion. It told the story of a man who gave his all to his art and who bore the weight of that sacrifice with unflinching honesty. Ozzy's journey was never just about fame or infamy. It was a testament to the human ability to endure pain, evolve through chaos, and love deeply even in the face of darkness. From the frontman of Black Sabbath to the Prince of Darkness known across generations, Ozzy lived a life that defied easy explanation. He struggled publicly with addiction, illness, and personal loss, yet he never stopped being real. He made millions think, feel, and reflect, not just on music, but on what it means to live with purpose. His final words, "Live a life that truly matters," carry the weight of a man who knew the value of time and the cost of wasting it. It wasn't just a farewell, it was a challenge to the rest of us, a reminder that brokenness isn't the end, that from pain can come wisdom, that even amid chaos, authenticity can shine through. Ozzy Osbourne may be physically gone, but his voice will echo through headphones, stages, and hearts for years to come. His story reminds us that legacies aren't built on perfection. They're built on passion, resilience, and truth. In the end, Ozzy taught us that even the darkest lives can shine brightly. And for that, the world will never forget him.